Welcome back. So today I wanted to talk about something I think is commonly misunderstood in Christianity in general, maybe not particular to any denomination or sect. I don't know if I've mentioned I'm Catholic, so that's kind of the framework that I'm coming from. But I think there's just this common misunderstanding of what does it actually mean to believe in God. There gets to be this point where it almost seems that some would believe that to simply say the words, I believe in God, indicates some sort of profound inward volition. And I think that's false. And the way that I grew up, I was rather poorly catechized. And, the whole time I would say, and I would have told you, I believe in God, but from my understanding now, I'm not sure that I really did. It's that there's a difference between the intellectual assent to the statement, I believe in God, versus actually believing. And what does that mean? What does it look like? If you actually believe in something truly with the core of your being, that has to change how you see the world, how you act in the world. It has to be almost a fundamental building block, in particular when it's something as important and vital to a worldview as a belief in God. Because your behavior and the way you move through the world would be completely different whether or not you truly believe in God. I just see so many people who profess with their lips and they don't make any changes in their lives or make any decisions based on that pivotal claim. And I think, a lot of people look at Catholics and say, oh, well, you think it's your works that get you to heaven. And that's not true. And I think a lot of people, even those who maybe aren't so familiar with Christianity, they think, oh, it's just a bunch of rules. You're just trying to control me. The church is just out to control people, and they're, authoritarian and power hungry. And that's not the case. I think it's a misunderstanding of not only do you need to believe in God and intellectually assent to his existence and primacy in everything, but you have to actually love God. And I think that's the difference. There's a core idea in Christianity of what is love, and so often in society today, I think there's a total misunderstanding of what love is. At its core in Christianity, you see, at least among creatures, love is service, and love is putting yourself out for somebody else. And so if we claim that we love God, then that means we go out of our way and we put ourselves out to serve God. And that's difficult. It takes guts, it's not an easy thing. It's an easy thing to say, oh, I believe in God, I'm a Christian. It is an entirely different matter to uproot your life, to do something you're uncomfortable with, to move, to change careers, to choose a vocation, to go into a marriage, to be open to children, to be completely open to the service of God's will. It's an entirely different thing than to simply say with your lips, I believe in God. There is a quote from John of the Cross, and I believe it goes, in the evening of life, you will be judged by your love. If I misquoted that, it's very close. And I think that is it's just a misconception. The idea that you get to the end of your life and you are seated on Judgment Day and God gets to decide whether you were good or whether you were bad. And that's not how I see it. That's not my understanding. My understanding is much more along the lines of the fact that we actively choose for ourselves heaven or hell while we're here on earth with our own will, based on how much we love or our lack of love. If we love God, And it's not a matter of whether or not we think a command is reasonable or unreasonable or fair or unfair. You know, if you love someone and they ask something of you, you do it. And like, you would do anything for someone that you love. So, you know, if God told me, hey, for the rest of your life, you can't, you know, insert command here, don't eat pizza. You know, you might say, oh, well, that doesn't make any sense, but I love you, and if that offends you, then I'm going to stay as far away from that as I possibly can, because I love you. Not because I want to do it, but because I want to show you that I love you and show you how much I care. And so when we are making choices in the world, if God has revealed his will to us and how we can show him our love, we then make the choice whether or not we want to show God that we love him by putting ourselves out on the line to please him, or whether we want to please ourselves or please some other authority other than God, whether that be our own pleasure, other people, you know, worldly success, fame, reputation, whatever it may be. Oftentimes people put that above God, and they worship those things above God, and they make their choices out of love to things other than God first. And I think that's ultimately what it is. You get to that final judgment, and I don't know that God's there to scold you as much as an assessment of how much you've loved or how much you've neglected to love. So with that in mind, you know, I'd like to call everybody to love with everything. And I think if you love with reservation and you say that you love God and yet you're holding something out, it might be an opportunity to assess, is there something I love more? You know, am I claiming I love with my lips and not loving with my works? So yeah, I think that's basically what I wanted to cover in this first video. So thanks for joining in.